Hello. So today I wanted to share the tool of shielding, which is just an energy management tool. And this is one that I is inspired by a book by Doreen Virtue called Earth Angels, or I should say Earth Angel Realms. And so it's available on Kindle. I highly recommend it. It's definitely woo. It's out there. So it's kind of about, you know, uh, angelic beings that are walking the earth, reincarnated or incarnated angels, star people, etc. So yeah, woo. And within this book, though, and there's this fabulous practice of how to shield and protect your energy. This is great if you are in any kind of helping or healing profession, if you are the head of a team and your team members often come to you for support, help, etc. So something that we talk about a lot are, energetic boundaries, so that we don't take on any more than what we need. These are shielding. This sort of energy management is also really great if you're having to deal with people that are like maybe have a different perspective than you, and that in sharing that perspective, like sometimes it feels like it kind of like torpedoes your energy. Well, we absolutely have control over that. We have a choice about that. I am an empath and I'm intuitive. So yes, we are more predisposed to take on other people's stuff. And one of my most important lessons that I've needed to learn as an empath is how not to just attune with or align with. I'm going to call it the lowest common denominator of the room, even though there is no high or low. There is no hierarchy here. There's no judgment here, right? But we definitely, when we have an interaction with other beings, with other people, it's like either our energy stays the same, right? Because we're meeting each other, or it's like, but usually it's one of two things. It either like uplifts, and you can tell because you like walk over, you're like, I could have talked to them all day, and like blah 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 blah, and you feel energized, inspired, moved, filled up, nourished, etc. Right? So that's like, those are like your energy lifters, uplifters. I call them your super friends. Like, spend more time with them in order to raise your energy. And then you have your other folks in your circle, which you may love. Like, these can sometimes be family members. They can sometimes be sometimes clients in their moments where they're needing more from you. Sometimes they're friends, right? And so when I say shielding, it's not like you're going like this. It's simply saying, what is mine, and what is yours, and I choose through my discernment what I allow in and let impact my energy. And so this is by practicing this sort of stuff. It's one of the ways that we can move through the world without being torpedoed by shitty news or like, you know what I mean? It's not to say that we don't feel, okay? It's not to say that we're impervious to the emotion. We feel the feels, okay? We're here to experience the full virtuosity of our, the full experience of our emotional virtuosity. So it's not about that. It's not about bypassing. It is about rather feeling and experiencing without it letting us take us into a tailspin. We've all been there where, maybe we've talked to someone who was going through a really hard time, and you want to support them, but we can't support them if we like let our energy be drained from us, right? It's actually the opposite. It's actually such a disservice that we're doing them and ourselves if we let ourselves be drained, or if we let things kind of like collect and attach onto us, right? In terms of negative energy, like sticky stuff. And certainly, if you need more clarification on this, like, feel free to post in the comments and just let me know. But I think for most of us, you know what I'm talking about. It's like when you're having that interaction where it's like you can feel the energy go pew, right? It's like a deflating balloon, or you're like checking your watch to see when you can get off the phone, right? Very often, you know, I've had family members where I've just been like, okay, I need to, you know, set a timer and get off the phone at a certain time. When I started practicing the shielding stuff, it allowed me to have not only have conversations with tough conversations, or conversations with you know, people that were more challenging energetically, it actually changed the conversations that I was having with them. So that instead of being this kind of like negative spiral that just like took me down, by shielding first, I was actually able to stay buoyant, and even the nature of the conversation changed, because it takes two to tango, right? So it's like that downward tailspin can only happen if you're like, all right, come on in, trample my garden. You know what I mean? And again, I say this with no judgment, with no like we all do this. Like just last week I was feeling crappy, and I know I got on the phone with a friend and she was like, man, you are not yourself. And we're normally like, you know, we're kind of like, whoop, you know, she was kind of like tending me and taking care of me. So it's, you know, it's not even like a characteristic of a person. We all have ebbs and flows with like when we are of service and when we need extra attention and love, right? So how do, when we're in that place of being in service, protect our energy? Okay, so here is the tool. This is called the shielding tool, and it's buried like in, I'm looking at the Kindle edition of Earth Angel Realms, and it starts right on like page 31 if you're looking on your iPhone. But it's called Shielding, and it's in the chapter on incarnated angels. Okay, so before you step outside in the rain, I'm just going to go ahead and read. You put on your jacket. Well, in a similar fashion, it is necessary to put on your energy jacket each time you engage in helping another person, because you're opening your heart to that person, okay? And she just says this, when you open your heart toward others, you're also open to receiving residual fear energy they may spew in your direction. That doesn't mean you shouldn't help. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them or anything wrong with you or anything wrong with the situation, okay? Like we make a lot of stories around this stuff, like, oh, toxic this and codependent that. And like, I'm not saying that those aren't real and valid things, but what I'm saying is like, we have a choice always about what's triggering us, what is, how we respond, okay? But anyway, so that doesn't mean you shouldn't help. But it's just like lending a hand to those who have been out in the rain for a while. They may have a lot of mud on them, and it doesn't benefit anybody if that mud transfers to you. In other words, when you help others clean up their thoughts and emotions, they release the toxins, which may splatter on whoever's near, including you, the helper, right? So this is if you're in that kind of like, if you're a caregiver, a healthcare worker, like, right? Like any of these folks who are like on the front lines right now, like this is great for you to carry with you. So it only takes a moment to energetically shield yourself. Ideally, you would do this before any helping or healing session or any conversation where you know you need to protect your energy, okay? Just like we talked about. Whether it's a paid or volunteer session is irrelevant. It also doesn't matter whether the person you're helping is a stranger, a client, a family member, a friend, and it doesn't matter how long the helping session lasts. It could be a brief moment or several days. Whenever you're about to help someone or like open up your heart, shield yourself, right? I actually make this a part of my daily practice. Like I'll do this in the shower. I'll think about like, shielding, right? Like that water running over my body is like, right? So still, if you forget to shield yourself before the session, you can still do so at any time. So it's not like you don't even need to know ahead of time. Like you might be taken by surprise. Like this has happened to me where you just like say, hey, how are you doing? To the person standing next to you at the bus stop. And all of a sudden they launch into like a wah, 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 wah. And you want to be present with them, but also you don't want to be like, you know, like let them like suck all the energy out of you. So you can really quickly do this shielding practice, right? It's never too late to shield yourself. And however, and so one of the things she talks about is If you have had some of these conversations without the shielding, you'll want to do some clearing afterward. And she talks about this in her next section. So that might be, I can share that in a separate video. Just holding the intention to shield yourself with a protective layer of light and energy makes it happen. It's done. You really can't do it wrong or be denied access to the light or energy shield. Anyone who holds this intention receives immediate results without exception. Shielding means visualizing, feeling, and or thinking of yourself surrounded in a cocoon of light. Just take a moment and think about that. This light is the essence of angels, and it's a living, loving, intelligent entity that you've called to surround and protect you. Don't worry, this light is always of the divine light of our Creator. So-called dark forces don't have this light available to share with others. So in other words, like when you call in the shield and you're like, I call in light and energy, shielding and protection, like, it's so funny that she's even mentioning this. Like, I wouldn't even, like, you can't accidentally call in a lower energy. So don't even worry about that. There is no doing this wrong, right? Any kind of, whatever, I don't even need to get into that stuff. You can shield yourself in various colors of light depending upon your intention. Again, know that your intention to surround yourself with this light won't be denied. It is a given, okay? And anyone who asks will receive it. Although the ego sometimes tries to convince us otherwise, and please don't listen to that voice. The different colors include the following. So this is helpful if you're like, well, what color light? And da-da-da. So I'm just going to put this out there. These are suggestions, okay? You may have different colors that resonate for you, right? So for example, white light. This invokes the angels around you to surround you without interruption. The angels protect you and they ensure that you are safe and guarded. Pink light. This is the light to invoke if you're with a negative person who's obsessed with their problems. We've met them and sometimes we've been them, right? So the pink light sends loving energy outward toward everyone who talks with you and simultaneously sends loving energy inward toward yourself. Nothing can permeate this pink shield except loving thoughts and energies. So like if you're listening to this and you're like, that sounds great, except pink is not my color, that is okay, right? Like that's what I mean is like, these are suggestions, right? Like I always think of these things as like ritual suggestions. When I say take what you need and pass it on, this is what I mean. Like, take what makes sense to you. Like, yeah, I rock on with the light thing. My color might be mauve, or, like I want purple light, or I want, you know what I mean? Whatever it is for you, that is a-okay. There is no wrong way to do this, okay? Here's some other examples that she gives. Emerald green light. See or feel yourself surrounded by this light whenever you want to heal some imbalance in your physical body. So green being healing, okay? Your body absorbs this light wherever it needs healing energy, right? So isn't that lovely? Like your body knows. Like you don't even have to be like, okay, I have to identify the source and I need to send the light like right to where the source is. Don't even worry about that, right? Just think like healing light, you know where to go. Thank you, thank you, thank you, right? So always like, I love to layer in a little mantra of like, thank you, thank you, thank you, right? Just so much gratitude. It's an energy booster, and it's true, right? Like I'm so grateful. Purple light. So this is what she talks about with purple light. Imagine yourself shrouded in royal purple light, which elevates your spiritual frequency, right? It's the color of our uppermost chakras, which is our connection with the divine and with source, enabling you to rise above problems and contact the highest level of divine guidance. Purple light also deflects any lower energies, entities, or earthbound spirits. So this may or may not be a part of your belief system, and that is a-okay, right? Again, I'm just like, I'm reading from Doreen Virtue, and I'm like annotating with my own thoughts and asides. Okay, rainbow light. Oh, this is fun. Yes, queen. So rainbow light, see or feel yourself wearing a coat of rainbow stripes. which boosts your ability to conduct energy healing work on yourself or others. I really see this as like when we embody the rainbow, we're like Skittles. Like, oh my God, all the marketing that's coming through my head right now. But like, or like I'm a musical theater geek too. So I'm just like, you know, Joseph in the Technicolor, you know, rainbow Technicolor coat. Rainbow light is tapping in the full spectrum, right? It's so comprehensive. I love this. Yeah. So how does this boost our energy? It means that like all those different frequencies, whether it's, you know, orange or yellow or red or purple or blue, it's like whatever is needed is there, and we can tap into that. You can shield yourself in layers of multicolored light if you choose, in order to invoke all the beneficial effects of the various colors. For instance, you can visualize a triple layer of light with white light first for, and this is, I'm reading from her book, with white light first for angelic energy, followed by a layer of emerald green light for healing, and then purple light to elevate your consciousness to the highest truth. You can also, so don't overcomplicate this, okay? That's just my little aside to you. Like, don't overthink it. Like, oh my gosh, should I do purple first and then white? Or should I do like da-da-da? There is no wrong way, okay? So really just whatever feels good. I love the pink or the rose-colored light. I mean, obviously, right? I love the rose-colored light. Like that conversation that I was talking about earlier where it completely shifted the conversation that I was having with this person where we had gotten into a rut, right? Sometimes we do with our most beloved people, where we get into a communication rut where like every conversation ends in the same argument or drama or whatever. Sound familiar? So like, I love the rose-colored light for this because it's like only love can permeate, only love can go out, and only love can come in. And it actually, because we set that intention, it means that we speak in a more loving way. And that invites the other person to speak to us in a more loving way. I kid you not that practice alone has had a transformative effect on conversations that I've had where, like, I'm talking years of a rut, right? Like, not just like, oh yeah, we had a little tiff last week, like years, and shifting that. And yes, was it one tool of many? Of course, right? But super helpful. I think you'll really enjoy this. So she ties up that section just by saying you can also use shielding to protect your loved ones, your home, your vehicles, your city or country, and the world. Just use the same methods in order to envision those people, objects, places, or areas surrounded by healing light, right? So one of my favorite meditations is simply like envisioning that light that starts here and grows and fills your whole body, and then like the shield, right? And protection and love and guidance for you, and then everyone in your home, and then everyone in your neighborhood, and then everyone in your city, and then right? And you can just see how state and country and planet and galaxy and universe, and it just like those concentric circles just going out and out to infinity. So that's a lovely way to use this practice as well. So that is shielding. Again, thanks to Doreen Virtue and her book Earth Angel Realms, and she just tucks this practice in there. So it's definitely a fun book to check out, especially if you are curious, if you've ever suspected that you are perhaps a wise one or a star being or an angel incarnated. There are a lot of us. Feel free to check out that book. It's very validating and like reassuring and just like, oh, okay, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just like, you know, and we have so many layers to our experience, right? So, you know, and if that doesn't float your boat, that is okay too. This practice just in and of itself of shielding, I think is a really powerful practice for anyone, Earth Angel or no. So, although it's so funny as I think of it, I don't think I can think of anyone who isn't or hasn't been at some point an angel, right? to someone in some moment. I think of a moment when I was arguing with my husband, right? And we had a cafe together. And even though, like, of course, like, it wasn't, you know, we weren't like throwing things or anything like that, but it felt as if we were, like, just energetically, verbally, right? It was just like, you know, kind of one of those knockdown, throwdown fights. And it felt like I was in a wasteland. And then the door swung open, and in comes this lovely young woman. And she was like, "Hey, can I get a coffee?" Right? Like, because we're a cafe, we're running a business. And so anyway, so she came in, she completely dispelled, like, it literally, like, where one moment I felt like I was surrounded by like sepia toned ruins, right? That's what it felt like. And then it felt like when she opened the door, it was like, ah, like, just like you imagine, like, light, shaft of light comes in, and suddenly the energy shifted like that in the room. And we were both able to just like shift our intense focus from like, you know, put up your dukes, let's argue this out, and like just be of service in that moment to this lovely person. And so in that moment, she was our earth angel. It doesn't matter if she was like an incarnated angel or technically a Pleiadian, I don't know, you know what I mean? Technically like an extra dimensional walk-in, it doesn't even matter. Right? We get to do these things with each other all of the time. So I hope this tool is useful for you, and thank you for joining me. Mwah, mwah, from my heart to yours. I love you. Take what you need and pass it on.